Hi, and welcome to the Magic of Giving. Central Florida is well known for the magic of its famous theme parks and attractions, but there's another kind of magic here, a magic that touches the lives of residents in need of assistance. That magic is spread by people who dedicate their lives and their calling to helping others. They work for Central Florida's nonprofit organizations, and that's what this show is all about. In each episode, we will feature one of Central Florida's nonprofit organizations and reveal the magic they share as they change the lives of those that are less fortunate. Today's show features Goodwill Industries, an organization that provides job training, employment placement services, and other community-based programs for people in need. Goodwill Industries provides services throughout Central Florida. With me to discuss the history and goals of the organization is Bill Oakley, President and CEO of Goodwill Industries of Central Florida, and Linda Rimmer, Vice President of Vocational and Community Service. So let's find out about how Goodwill Industries got started. Hi, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Delighted.
So Goodwill, that is a recognized name throughout the country. What is the primary mission of Goodwill Industries?
Well, at Goodwill Industries, our principal interest is building lives that work, and that forms our mission. And we've created a network of activity around that, supported by the generosity of people who give us donated materials.
So when and how was Goodwill founded in Central Florida?
Well, Goodwill Industries came to Central Florida with the support of a local advocacy organization who saw the need for opportunities for people, particularly with disabilities at the time in 1959. And so we had our first retail outlet on Church Street, and subsequently have grown to 26 retail stores, 2 outlet stores, and 9 locations for job connection centers across Central Florida.
So who exactly does Goodwill serve in our community?
We serve anyone who wants a job or wants a better job. Historically, we've served people with disabilities, but we've expanded our services over the years to include people with substantive disadvantaging conditions surrounding work. So people with a criminal history, people who may be homeless, people who may indeed have a disability or some other substantial condition that limits the opportunity for people to go to work and to keep a job.
Now in Central Florida, the Goodwill Industries that I know here in Central Florida, is that just one chapter? Are there several chapters across the country, or how does that work?
Well, Goodwill Industries is really best described as a confederation, a network of independent organizations, each incorporated in its particular state and each given through license, a particular area in which to render services. So our local Goodwill Industries operates in 6 counties.
Okay. So how do you guys measure your success?
Well, we're most concerned about the number of people who have the opportunity to experience Goodwill services, and of course the numbers of people who then would go to work. In 2013, for example, we served more than 32,000 people and helped almost 6,500 people secure jobs in our local 6-county area.
Okay. Now I can imagine that there are several misconceptions that people have out there about Goodwill Industries. Can you name a few?
Well, I think one of the things that people think of when they think of Goodwill Industries, of course, is that they think of our thrift stores, and that may be all that they think that Goodwill Industries does. We have so many more services. I think another thing that people often misunderstand about Goodwill Industries is that our retail stores are for people only with limited means. And while we think our prices are a great place for anyone with a limited income to shop, we think that our selection makes us a great place for anyone to spend a few minutes browsing through the wonderful things Goodwill gets, and anyone is always welcome in a Goodwill store.
So what are some of the things that you've done in the recent years to push down those misconceptions that the community has? I mean, have you developed a marketing program or?
Well, we have been very active in the local community in opportunities such as this to help people understand better the scope and the nature of Goodwill services. I think probably the most significant thing we've done is that we've changed the way that we locate our retail stores so that they're accessible to everyone and conspicuous as well. Those two things I think are important and help to change how people perceive the Goodwill experience for either services or for shopping.
Right. Now let's talk a little bit about, we just talked about this, but let's go back and let's talk a little bit about the community that you guys serve. Do you serve, I mean, is it men, women, children, or who do you serve across the Orlando community?
Everyone that needs assistance in becoming more capable of having jobs or finding jobs so that they can take care of their families, so they can become more self-sufficient and more independent.
Right.
So we serve men, women, we serve youth, we serve adults. It's a broad spectrum of individuals. We have programs inside the Orange County Jail, we have programs with Orange County Public Schools, and with 6 counties, we have a variety of programs in all of them.
Okay. So again, let's talk a little bit about the different chapters of Goodwill and how you guys fit together. Like a Goodwill here, how does it tie into a Goodwill, say, in Texas or in California, or how do you guys fit together?
Well, each Goodwill is individually licensed, and each Goodwill has representation at the national body of Goodwill Industries. So we work together to advance the purpose of Goodwill both in the United States and across the world in creating opportunities for people who need to go to work.
And if I could just add
Sure.
a moment of that, each Goodwill has an assigned territory, so that territory is never overlapping. So it's a clearly defined area for both services and retail.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about, and you did discuss this, but I want to go more in depth about the history of Goodwill and who founded, or how was it founded?
Well, the origins of Goodwill extend back to the beginning of the 20th century in Boston in 1902, and a Methodist pastor who was assigned to a church in an impoverished area was concerned because many of his congregation were immigrants. Many of those people lacked opportunity for work. And so he wanted to create opportunities. So he got coffee sacks from the Chase and Sanborn Coffee Company and took them to more affluent sections of Boston, collecting things that people didn't need, and originally started to give them to his congregation because he was so concerned. But he was so upset about the behavior that people would engage in when he tried to give things. People would bicker and squabble over the items that they had, and so he quickly changed that to a work program, and people could work and exchange the time they worked for the things that they needed to prepare for their families. And he did other creative things. He created a program where people would support producers in a cooperative way. So if I was a plumber and I needed someone to watch my children, and you had a sink that was leaking, you watch my children, I fix your sink, and then I go out and work additionally to support my family. And so it was innovative programs like that that created opportunity for people. And the idea quickly spread, mostly through the interests of the United Methodist Church. And in 1903, a program was started in San Francisco, and many other churches adopted those particular programs. And then later, good organizations that are established will elect to become a part of the Goodwill family because our model works so well, and because of the national support and the quality of the brand that is so recognizable across the world.
Right. And I think that's so important. I don't believe the community is aware of the history of Goodwill. So in moving forward, if I'd say in the next 3 to 5 years, What do you foresee in the future for Goodwill?
Well, one of the things that we're very concerned about in our community is the extent and the depth of homelessness. And so we're looking at some new programming to cooperate with existing organizations. So much of what we do together as an organization is dependent on partnerships that we construct, because we think we do one thing very well, and that's to help people go to work. But today, the more difficult social problems require a real collaboration of talent, ideas, and resources in order to advance useful change. And so we're looking to work more closely with organizations serving people who are homeless to create additional opportunities.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Now that we have a little background on Goodwill Industries of Central Florida, we're going to take a short break, and in segment 2 we'll find out about how the programs and services benefit the community. Stay tuned, we'll return in a minute. Thank you guys, you did awesome. Very good.